Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you and your families are happy, healthy, and thriving. My name is Rachel Cozy, and I'm the founder of our group. And before I introduce Christiana, I just wanted to provide you with some brief background on our organization. I'm prior military, and in 2017, I transitioned from overseas and had to start my life over from scratch. So I wanted to find a way to connect strong, like-minded individuals in an environment where we could connect on a deeper level and learn from each other's experiences. So we launched our group in January of 2018. It was a brunch event in Washington, D.C. Since then, we have moved to happy hour, expanded to the West Coast, and now we're virtual. Our guest speakers have included everyone from relationship coaches to money managers and female founders and CEOs. Tonight, we have another exceptional guest speaker, Christiana Serlé. Christiana is a graduate of Vanderbilt University, where she was a dual major in organizational development and sociology. She also has her master's in public health from Florida International. She's additionally certified as a health education specialist and a MBSR coach, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction. She was recently recognized by the Wellness Council of America as one of the top 10 health promotion professionals. And most importantly, she's a dear friend, and I'm grateful she's here. Thanks so much for joining us, Christiana.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This has been something we've talked about for a long time, so I'm happy that it's finally come. So first of all, as Rachel mentioned, we have known each other for many years. I live in Miami, Florida, but as you can probably see from my surroundings, I'm not currently there. I'm actually in Maine. So if my internet cuts out in advance, I apologize. But Rachel said most of my background, but I just wanted to share a little bit about how I came to be interested in mindfulness. So probably about 7 years ago, it was 7-ish years ago, I had a miscarriage, and it just really threw me for a loop as someone that considers myself to be healthy and fit and very focused on that. It just threw me completely off the rails. And I decided I had to do something totally drastic, and I signed myself up for a 10-day silent meditation without ever having meditated before. So it was an interesting experience. Definitely, I learned a lot, and as you can that I'm here, it changed my life in a wide variety of ways. And once I kind of got past the racing thoughts and the fear and what am I doing? I'm totally doing this wrong. Everyone else knows what they're doing but me. I really was able to connect to an inner sense of peace and calm. And I've been able to carry that forward. Now, people always ask me, do we have to do a 10-day silent meditation to understand the principles of mindfulness? And the answer is definitely not. If you have the opportunity, I highly recommend it. I would love to do another one day. But if you can't right now, there's a lot of ways to bring these principles into your life. So that's what I'd like to talk about today, especially as we've been dealing with this pandemic and everything that's going along with that. As Rachel said, now I do a lot of work in the corporate wellness space. So I work with companies of all sizes to incorporate mindfulness into the workplace through wellness programming. And then I also do individual coaching. So that's a little bit about me, but I really want to know about you all. I want this to be interactive. I know we are virtual, and it looks like I may be frozen. Am I frozen? Oh, okay. All right. It looked like I was for a second. So I just am curious, those of you who are here, have you heard of mindfulness before? What is kind of your experience with it? Do you practice daily? Is this your first time ever hearing the word mindfulness? I'd love to just know. And so as Lynn said, there's a chat button. If you bring your cursor down to the bottom and click chat, you can put a message in the chat so I can interact with you. So just curious, I don't know if you all are finding that or not, but I'll write something, testing, so you all can see that. All right, looks like we have some shy people. So I'm gonna go ahead and, there we go. Oh, Allie, how are you? All right, so we have a wide variety of experience as I've seen so far. And Jane, familiar with it? Yep. No experience. Great. Okay. So we will cover all ranges. So whether you're a daily practitioner or a couple of you have participated in some of my classes, hopefully you'll still pick up some tips and new ideas that maybe you haven't heard before. And yes, I've heard of both. I get frustrated. So yeah, we're going to talk about daily tips. Like I said, you don't have to go on a 10-day silent meditation to experience the benefits, but you can incorporate a wide variety of things. So let me go ahead and bring up my PowerPoint so we can jump on in. I just find it easier to share some points through that. And let me see if you all can see this. All right, can everyone see? Perfect. Okay, Jen. Yes, so I didn't mention this, but I'm actually a mom of two as well. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, so I definitely know what it's like to bring these practices into the home, not only interacting with other adults in my family, my husband, my parents, my in-laws, but also bringing these practices to your kids. So I'm not going to talk a lot about that today, but these are things that you can do with them as well, and I'll try to bring that in as we talk. So let's get started. So there's a picture of me. So let's talk about you. So how are you feeling right in this moment? So take a second to really check in with your body, and you can just do this briefly. So checking in with your body, is there any point in your body that maybe feels tense or tight, maybe areas of relaxation? I know I just ate dinner, so I'm feeling comfortably full, for example. So you can share that in chat if you wish, or you can keep that to yourself. But once you check in with your body, check in with your mind as well. So noticing where your mind is now. And so first starting with your thoughts. So what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about, oh my gosh, I had such a crazy day, like some of us shared before the session started, or maybe worried about what am I going to make for dinner, or what time am I going to bed, something in the future. And then also checking in with your emotions. So noticing how you're feeling emotionally. Maybe you're feeling stressed or anxious, overwhelmed, happy, joyous, whatever is here for you, just really noticing what's here. And then what we're going to do is a brief little practice. So this will be a brief centering exercise just to bring us all kind of into the same space. So what I'd like for you to do is finding a comfortable seat if you aren't in one already. And you can sit up tall in your chair, but being comfortable. So I like to say comfortable but dignified. And then just gently close your eyes or lower your gaze. You can rest your hands in your lap. And just beginning to focus on your breathing. So noticing the air as it flows into your body. And noticing as it flows out. Perhaps acknowledging that this is the first time you've intentionally closed your eyes or intentionally slowed down today. And just seeing if you can let go of all that came before this moment. And let go of all that came before this breath. And just breathing. You may notice that your mind has wandered either to a thought or a story. And just gently bringing your attention back to the body and to sensations of breathing. In and out. Coming into this moment and this breath. So taking one final breath of this practice. You can gently open your eyes and return to our lovely group here. So what did you notice about that? How do you feel now? Maybe checking in with the body again. If you noticed any points of pain or tension, are they still there? Or perhaps checking with the mind. Maybe you were worried about something in the future or thinking about something that happened earlier today. Where are you now? How are you feeling now? Yeah, so felt my breath, calmer, sleepy, body is fine, thoughts were racing, more relaxed. Yeah, so every time you do this, you may experience something different, and racing thoughts are entirely normal. It's the mind, it's the nature of the mind to produce thoughts, just like the eyes produce tears. So keeping that in mind, that you're having thoughts is not something that you shouldn't have. It simply means that you're human. So if you learn nothing else from this experience today, you now know that. And as you practice more, you may find that you have a little bit of respite from those racing thoughts. And you may start to feel calm, or you may just notice sensations in the body, like a couple of you shared. So let's talk a little bit more about life as we know it. So what is our life like these days? We are in the middle of a global pandemic that we don't know when it's going to end, right? We don't know what the future holds, but we've never known what the future holds, right? It's just a little bit more obvious to us now than it was maybe 3 or 4 months ago that we didn't know what was coming down our path, right? So we feel maybe overwhelmed, we feel distracted. I know I often feel like I'm running in the middle of this photo here from one thing to another, back and forth. And when we started with the great pause, as I like to call it, where we were primarily home, maybe some of us still are, maybe some of us have, been going out a little bit more. I know it felt, for me at least, like it was a little bit of a moment of, oh my gosh, I can slow down from the busyness of life. But then in the past few weeks, or maybe even past few months, it seems to somehow have picked up. I've been able to find more things to do in my career, in the workplace, all these things without even really leaving my house. So our society has become one of rushing and constantly feeling like we need to do. And this experience during this pandemic can actually be a time for us to slow down and appreciate more of the things that we have in our life. And so we'll talk more about that as we go. So, why are my slides so, okay, there we go. So add in all of this busyness, add a device, or maybe 2 devices or 3 devices, depending what your situation is. And a device, while they're wonderful, they offer us a lot of great things, it's become something that allows us to be connected 24/7, right? We can be working 24/7, we can be connecting on social media all the time, and we can be around the world, which is great communicating. I'm communicating from you guys in Maine. I know some of you are in California, some are in Florida, so we're all over the country communicating. So it's not to say that the phone is entirely bad, but recognizing that it has also changed the way that we are living, and it's changed our sort of internal landscape as well, this constant need to be checking it and ordering something or doing something on it. So I just to put in a few little sort of funny things. So the phone, this is what we look like waiting, right? We don't wait anywhere anymore without doing something. Now we're standing 6 feet apart and wearing masks, but we're still on our phone. We're not interacting with each other or even giving ourselves a moment to rest. And I don't know how many of you have kids, but those of you that do, they're saying that our brains, especially for kids, need that time to be bored, because when we're bored is when creativity comes about. And you see that especially in kids. And you may realize as an adult, you've kind of lost the connection with the creativity and coming up with new ideas, perhaps because you're always connected. Here we are on vacation, right? How many times have you been in front of a beautiful sunset and there's like 100 phones taking a picture of the same thing, you know, or even that my son graduated and it was like 30 of us are standing there with a phone taking the same picture of the same. One of us take the picture and the rest of us can be present for it. And here we are eating meals. I think many of us can, it said my connection was unstable, so hopefully you still can hear me. All right, good. I'm just gonna ask for thumbs up periodically to make sure. And so, you know, when we eat meals, a lot of us are trying to take an Instagram perfect picture with our meal, or we're typing and we're eating at the same time, or we're reading something. And so we really allowed distraction to come into every element of our lives, which makes us more stressed, which makes us more anxious, which makes things more difficult. So what I'm here to talk to you about tonight is kind of a different approach to wellness. So we can still have our phones and stay connected, but even though we have more information at our fingertips than we've ever had, I'm sure you've all seen that we're also sicker than we've ever been. Rates of diabetes are going up, heart disease, obesity, and then that doesn't even take into account the stress and mental illness that is also very prevalent. So, you know, taking a moment to really think about what would my life be like if I chose another path, if I chose to find an inner sense of calm, to still have these devices and be able to accomplish things, but to do it in a different way. And so that is where mindfulness comes in. So all of this to say, mindfulness it's not a fad, but I'm sure many of you have heard of it in passing. Everyone's talking about mindful everything. And if you know of a program called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, the creator of it, Jon Kabat-Zinn, who I've quoted here, he actually kind of jokes about it. He's like, mindfulness, they've made mindful everything. He's like, it's mindful bread making now, mindful this, mindful, and he wrote a wonderful book for those parents on the call called Everyday Blessings. And I was a big fan of the book, and I was working with him one time, and I mentioned that I really liked it. And he was telling me, yeah, now, he's in his 70s, and people are asking him to make a mindful grandparenting book. And he's like, I think I already covered all of that in the mindful parenting. It's just a slightly different perspective. So anyway, mindfulness is everywhere. The NBA is using it for their teams and also for their employees. Google is a big fan. AvMed, Aetna, Florida Blue, all of these insurance companies are incorporating mindfulness, law firms, schools, I could go on. And the reason is because research is showing that it is beneficial in stress reduction, in anxiety reduction, and also reducing incidence of chronic disease in some cases, because a lot of disease is caused by stress, right? We've all heard stress is the silent killer. So if we can reduce stress, potentially we can reduce the incidence of chronic disease. With all of that being said, I find that people are confused. What is mindfulness? Why would I want my mind to be full? I don't want my mind full. I want my mind empty, right? So it's not that your mind is full. It's basically awareness. It's awareness of the present moment. So when you're brushing your teeth, really brush your teeth. Be there physically and mentally brushing your teeth. And this is Jon Kabat-Zinn's definition. Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and without judgment. So what does this really mean to us in real life? And what it means is bringing the mind and the body together. So if any of you have ever done yoga, you may have heard this. It's getting a little dark in here. Let me turn on this light and see if that is better. I don't know if that's any better, but so it's bringing our mind and body together. So like I said, if you've ever done yoga, you hear this a lot in yoga classes. And for many years, I was like, I don't understand what this means. And so to this webinar, we're all physically sitting in a chair or something here, but our mind is often somewhere else, right? We're worried about the future, or we're ruminating on the past. And so mindfulness allows us to bring the mind into the present. So like I said, with the teeth example, or when you're walking, really be focused on walking, not being worried about, you know, what you're going to eat in 20 minutes. You know, you can really be present for everything as you do it. And so you can extend this awareness across all areas of your life. And so what we're going to talk about today are two areas that we all experience every day and how we can bring mindfulness into those. And then I'll give you two tools that you can use across all areas so you can choose how you want to apply those. So let's talk about entering the day, waking up. We all wake up at some point during the day, right? We don't all, maybe every now and then, if you don't need to get up, you could sleep through the whole day. That sounds amazing. But, I can't do that at least. So we all get up in the day. And let's say you've gone to bed and you have an alarm clock and you wake up, it goes off in the morning. What is the first thing that you think in the morning? Maybe you think, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get up for the day. But a lot of us think, oh no, I have to get up. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Just 5 more minutes. Let me sleep a little longer. Why do I have to do this? And I challenge you, if you are saying things like that, you can still say that, but just add, and I'm grateful for this life. Because as long as you are breathing, there is more right with you than there is wrong with you. And that is true no matter what is wrong. We're a collection of a lot of cells. And as long as you're breathing, there's more doing what they should be doing than shouldn't be doing. So that's one way to kind of change the focus of your day. Another way is through a practice that I call Good Morning, I Love You. So I don't know about you all, but I know many people, including myself, that tend to be the hardest on myself. I'm more judgmental of myself. I'm more critical of myself than I am of anyone else, right? I'm actually less kind to myself than I am to others. And so this practice called Good Morning, I Love You is a way to send yourself kindness and compassion in the morning. So it starts your day off on a positive note. And so I thought we could do the practice. It's night here. I know it's night for most people on the call, at least some variation of night, evening. And so what I'd like to do is do this, but for the evening. So you would just change it to be for the morning. So what you do is it's very simple. You bring your hands to your heart. You can close your eyes. I do this in the morning, literally while I'm still in bed. I wake up and you take a couple breaths in, connect, and you would just say, in my case, would say, good evening, Christiana. I love you. Today is a great day. And then just take a few more breaths, however many you feel comfortable. And that's the end of that brief practice. So I do that in the morning where I say, good morning, I love you, and today is a great day. And that practice I've seen with many individuals that I've worked with and also corporate groups is so powerful in changing the course of your day and how you treat yourself. And I don't know if anyone noticed anything from doing that practice now, but from the few people that I can see on the screen, you looked a little bit more relaxed after doing that. So those are a couple practices that you can do in the morning. Many people have other practices. My husband, if you know him, you would totally know that this is true. He gets out of bed and he puts his feet on the ground and he does the Rocky symbol or pose. And he's like, what does he say? I am thankful and grateful for this life. And then he marches about his day. So for him, that works perfectly. For me, I don't resonate with that as much, but you have to find what works for you. And that may be different in 6 months. You might find one thing works for you now, and then it changes. So the other area, does anyone have any questions so far? I want to make sure that I'm answering anything that you all are curious about. And feel free to write as we go. I will answer any questions as I can, or if I'm going to cover it, I'll let you know that as well. So our next topic, can't tell if any of you are typing, but if you write, I will do my best to answer that. So our next topic is meals. So we all, unless you're intermittent fasting for the entire day, you all eat something during the day. And so I know most of us wish that our meals always look this beautifully. I wish this was a real photo of my food, but it's not. And, you know, we all want to have our food look like this, but then we often look like that while we're eating, right? We're so, we've waited too long, we're hungry, and we just smash it in our face and don't really appreciate the food that we're eating because maybe we were too hungry while we were, what we didn't notice that we were hungry. And so we ate too quickly. And the challenge is to bring mindfulness to the way that you eat. So the first thing is, how many of you have been on a diet at some point in your life? Yeah, from the 6 of you that I can see, it looks like everyone. So we've all been on a diet, whether it was to lose weight or not, it doesn't matter. We've all tried some different sort of diet. And the fact is, if the diets really worked for the long term, there wouldn't be a diet industry, right? It's not to say that diets can't work at some point, but there's no right diet for every person that works all the time, right? So it may work for you for a period of time, and then you have to adjust. So by bringing mindfulness, though, it's a practice that you can use with any diet or not diet. I find that as I've brought mindfulness more to my eating, I don't need to be as focused on what I'm eating because I'm paying attention to my actual needs. So the first question to ask yourself when you find yourself thinking about food, or maybe even in the kitchen getting something out of the refrigerator, is, am I actually hungry? Like, am I even hungry right now? And you may find that the answer is no. And if the answer is no, then you know you don't need to eat something. You may say, no, I'm not actually hungry. I'm bored, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm hormonal. A wide variety of things can present as hungry, or maybe it's just a habit. I noticed I have a habit of, when I walk by the kitchen, I always veer towards the salty snacks and I grab one and I just keep walking. And once I brought awareness to that, I was like, why am I even doing this? And I wasn't even enjoying it. I was just eating it and continuing walking. So first asking yourself, am I hungry? And then asking yourself, if I am hungry, how do I know that? Am I feeling body sensations? The body is a great tool for information. So you may find that, your stomach is growling. Maybe you get a headache. Maybe you're feeling angry. Whatever the case is for you and how you recognize that you're hungry, checking in with that. But then asking yourself, how hungry am I? So you may find, I just want something small. Okay, great. Find something small. What is it that I want? I want something salty, I want something sweet, whatever it is for you. And then eat it. What if that is, I want a piece of cake, eat it and actually enjoy it, right? So I jumped a little bit ahead here, but when you're eating your food, actually enjoy whatever it is you've taken the time to select for yourself. And so what that means is in 2 ways. If you're preparing it, mindfully preparing it. So noticing what it feels like to be washing the vegetable and then cutting it and then sauteing it, the sounds, the smells, noticing all of that. And then when you're sitting and eating, same thing, sit down for a moment and look at your food and think of all of the people that were involved in the process of getting that food on your plate. And this could be as simple as an apple. An apple is on your plate. You've done something with it, but let's just say it's sitting there and you're thinking, okay, how many people were involved in this? So someone planted an apple tree at some point. Someone's taken care of that tree. Someone picked the apple. It probably went on a truck, on a plane, on, who knows how it got to me, went to the grocery store, someone put it out, I picked it up, or, if you're doing delivery, which I know many of us are now, someone brought it to my house. And if you think of all the people that were involved in bringing that food to your plate, it can be a really powerful experience of saying, oh my gosh, there's a whole community that was behind this, and having gratitude for that process. And also, then when you do eat it, noticing the texture, the smell, what color it is, anything that you can notice about your food, and then really savoring it as you do taste it, noticing the taste as you eat it. And if we were together, we would do a mindful eating exercise, but you can find probably a lot of videos out there that kind of walk you through this process. And if you've never done it, it's something I highly recommend, because you may realize that you notice that you're eating mindlessly. How many of you have ever, you get out a cookie or something, and all of a sudden the cookie's gone and you don't even remember eating it, and you're like, wait, I just had this here, like, what happened? Did the dog eat it? What's going on? So we all do that. I am as guilty as anyone at doing that. And it's just about that awareness of noticing that you're not eating with presence. So that is all for food, at least at this point. I could go on and on about that. But my next question is, what else are you consuming? So we always think, when we're thinking of consumption, we often think of eating, right? But we also consume things through our eyes and our ears and even our bodies. So what are you consuming as far as media, as far as TV, maybe the music that you're listening to? Maybe even that's groups of friends. Sometimes we end up in a group of friends, or maybe even one friend that is someone that doesn't make us feel good about ourselves, or we always feel, that the energy is sucked out of us after we talk with them. And so beginning to notice those types of feelings and things that you experience as you go through the day. And I thought of this morning, actually. So I used to be a huge fan of Criminal Minds, the show. I don't know if any of you have ever watched that show, but I was a sociology major, one of them, as Rachel shared. And it was so interesting to me, and I would watch it all the time. And I started realizing that I would watch it and I would turn it off, and I would literally be scared. Like, I would have to look under my bed, and I'd be like, someone might be behind the door, they're in my closet, something like that. And I started saying, this is interesting. I don't really like this. And then over time, I realized, you know what? Like, I love this show, but I just can't, it's just not good for me anymore, And that's the same thing with food. Sometimes we realize, oh my gosh, I love eating ice cream, but I just feel terrible after I eat it. So you start to phase it out of your life, potentially. And that's what I had to do with my Criminal Minds show that I used to like to watch. So just something to start thinking about. Same thing with news. So there was a research study done a few years ago that says, if you watch 3 minutes of negative news, which I know very few positive news sources at this point, you are, I think it was 30% more likely to report a bad day at the end of the day, 8 hours later, from that 3 minutes in the morning. And so really, a lot of these things that we're exposing ourselves to, we may not think we're hearing the energy of the news in the background as we eat or do whatever we're doing, but it affects us. And just starting to notice it. Maybe it doesn't affect you, but there may be another area that it does. So just wanted to put that in there for all of you to consider. And yes, I see in the chat, I practice mindful eating. I lost weight without trying. Yeah, so actually with mindful eating, you may find that to be the case. A lot of people do find that they lose weight when they incorporate mindful eating, because they're now aware of being full. And that may be a sensation that you've never been aware of. You just eat whatever's on your plate. I know my grandmother lived in the Great Depression, and she would always tell me, you eat every single thing on that plate. I don't care if you're full, you eat it. And so I never had the concept. I always thought full was being uncomfortable. And it wasn't until I realized that no, full can just be comfortable. And, luckily, I think most of us are not concerned about where our next meal is coming from, thankfully. You know, there may be some of us that do, and you know, that's a definitely a different situation, but you know, just being aware of when you're full can be very powerful. And Alexandra, looks like you did the raisin experience yesterday with kids. Yes, mindful eating is great with kids. For those of you who shared that you have them, that, you know, that's really a fun thing for them to do. And Rachel, sounds like you've done that exercise as well. So you can do it with raisins, as they shared. With kids, you can also do mine like the little mandarin oranges with the peel, so you can peel it mindfully with them. So just a few ideas there. So those are just two ways that you can add mindfulness into your existing activities. So you don't really have to change much, you're just adding a little piece in. And these next two are practices that you can incorporate in your life as a whole, wherever makes sense for you. So the first one is gratitude. If you've ever attended one of my workshops, you know I talk about this all the time. It's such a powerful practice. So people who practice gratitude tend to be happier, healthier, they make more money, they live longer, and it's free. So there's no excuse to not practice gratitude. And all that means, it's very simple, is just thinking of something that you're thankful for. And that could be something very small, as I'm very grateful that my internet has not cut out during this session. Or it could be, I'm grateful for elastic on pants. Like I mean, can you imagine life without elastic pants? Like, I know I can't, and my 5-year-old son definitely cannot. So, you know, something small. And so I love each of you, if you can, to type just one small thing that you're thankful for from today in the chat, because I think we can all start to get ideas of things to be grateful for. So I'll give you a second to find the chat if you can. And if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine too. Thankful for friends. Yes. Having a laptop. Yeah, that's a good one. Otherwise, you might not be here with us tonight, right? So anything, it could be thankful for learning. Definitely thankful for elastic pants. And time to read a book for pleasure this morning. Family, freedom, this experience. Amazing. Yeah. So as you go out through the day, you can incorporate this practice in a wide variety of ways. Just to give you a couple of ideas. So ones that I like to recommend are, you could have a gratitude journal. So I keep a journal next to my bed that I write 3 things I'm grateful for at the end of the day. And so it almost forces me throughout the day to start noticing little things that I'm grateful for, so I don't get to the end of the day and struggle to find something. That being said, there's always something to be grateful for. What works for my husband and I is we have a gratitude jar. So my parents, for our wedding, gave us this ceramic jar, and we keep it in our kitchen with a little pad of paper and a pen. And whenever one of us feels inspired, we write something we're grateful for, we put the date on it, and we stick it in the jar. And then we read them, we save them, and we read them to each other on our anniversary. So he reads the ones that he wrote to me, and I read the ones that I wrote to him. And we've been doing it, we've been married almost 7 years now, and we've been doing it probably 5, maybe 6. And it's been a really beautiful practice to kind of see throughout the year what he was grateful for. And also for me, and it's almost become like a memory book, because I'm like, oh, I forgot about that walk where we did this, or I forgot about this little thing that you did for me, or I did for you, or whatever. And so that can be a very beautiful practice. You can also do that with the rest of your family if your kids are older and can write. We plan to incorporate it with ours. I also do a version of it at work with my work colleagues, so it could be something that you incorporate there. So just a couple of ideas. If anyone else has gratitude practice that they would like to share with the group, feel free to put that in the chat as well. But I think you'll find as you start incorporating this, you'll start noticing how many things in your life are going well, because we often tend to focus on the negative or the things that are more difficult. And this can also reframe how you're thinking of things. And then the second color, or watercolor, yeah, that's beautiful. The second practice that I want to touch on is meditation. So meditation is different from mindfulness, but it's a component of mindfulness. So the way that I like to talk about mindfulness and meditation is like, meditation is like lifting the muscles. When you go to the gym, you're lifting your biceps, you're doing all these things. And then when you go to lift a box in real life, you have the muscles to be able to pick it up, right? So meditation to me is very similar. So you're taking time out of your day to sit with yourself and be quiet, so that during the rest of your day, or however often you're doing it, you are able to be more present. Because having those few minutes to allow the mind to calm, allow the body to calm, you will find that you are able to respond to situations instead of react. So what I'd like to do is just a quick meditation practice, just to kind of introduce you guys, if you've never meditated before, to it, so you know kind of what to expect. And then I have some free meditations I can send to you that you could use if you want to delve a little bit deeper, or I can give you a couple of app recommendations that are free as well. So let's go ahead and do that practice. Lynn shared that her gratitude is mentally reviewing 3 things when driving home from work. Yeah. So maybe it's not a journal, but it's some prompt that you have driving home from work, arriving at work. I know when I arrive at the office, I sit in my car for an extra minute or 2. I take 3 deep breaths and then I go in. Just find that it resets me for the day. So let's do a little mindfulness practice. So what we're going to do is connect to the mind and the body. So most of the day we spend thinking, right? We're living from the neck up. We're thinking about everything. And we're disconnected from our body, which can actually give us a lot of cues as to what is happening in our world. So I'm sure some of you have felt sick to your stomach after you say something mean to someone. That is the body reacting to something in your environment. Or maybe you feel like you've been punched in the gut when you really haven't, that kind of thing. Butterflies in the stomach, I'm only using stomach right now, but warmth in the chest, maybe when you see someone that you love. There's physiological reactions to external stimuli. And so by connecting to those and being aware of them, you can start to, be more present in your life. And so just to share a quick example, and then we'll start. So when I start to feel angry about something, I know that I start breathing very shallow. And it's not noticeable to anyone else, but I can tell that my breathing quickens, and then my chest gets really tight, and I feel heat like starting to come up. And as soon as I notice that happens, not all the time, but now practicing for a number of years, I'm able to more often calm that down and be able to respond to whatever that situation is, instead of just flying off the handle and maybe saying something that I regret or doing something I regret. So yes, I think there's a lot of practical applications to this. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, finding a comfortable seat. And you want to find a balance between strength and stability in the spine, but also relaxation and ease. And just closing the eyes and gently beginning to focus on sensations of breathing. Noticing the flow of air as it comes into the body, and noticing as it flows out. And allowing yourself to step out of the domain of doing of the thinking mind, and allowing yourself to enter the domain of being. You took time out of your day to be here tonight. And so really making an effort to be here for these next few minutes. And so noticing the flow of air as it comes into the body through the nose. Noticing sensations in the nose. Or perhaps noticing the expansion and contraction of the chest. Or the rise and fall of the belly. So we'll do a brief body scan, bringing awareness to different areas of the body, and knowing that you may experience thoughts or emotions, and just seeing if you can put those aside for the moment and continue with our scan. So bringing your attention up to the head, almost like you have a spotlight that you're shining on your body, noticing sensations in the head. Maybe tension in between the eyebrows, checking in with the jaw. Not trying to change anything or do anything, but just noticing what's here for you in this moment and allowing it to be here. And when you're ready, bringing your attention down your neck, into your shoulders, noticing sensations in the shoulders. Maybe one shoulder feels different from the other. And breathing, letting go. When you're ready, releasing awareness of the shoulders, bringing your attention down the arms into the hands, noticing sensations in the hands, and bringing your attention back up the arms, past the elbows, and into the chest. Noticing the expansion and contraction of the chest as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Maybe noticing an emotion arising here. We often carry our emotions in our chest. And if that's the case for you, just seeing if you can say, "Not now," and returning your attention to the body and to sensations. So when you're ready, bringing your attention down to the belly, noticing perhaps judgment coming up, or sensations of fullness or emptiness, or just noticing the rise and fall. When you're ready, releasing the stomach, bringing your attention down the legs, past the knees, into the feet. Noticing sensations in the feet, perhaps the floor, pushing up on the feet, or sensations of the feet inside of a shoe or a sock. And breathing. And now bringing into your awareness your entire body, sitting and breathing. Knowing that at any point you can come back to the breath and sensations in the body. So taking one final breath of this practice. Gently opening your eyes and returning to the group. Noticing anything that you feel now, perhaps different from when you began. And if so, you can feel free to share that in the chat. Many people, I know it's getting late, at least on the East Coast, so you may be feeling tired, or you may just be feeling more relaxed. Some people, you may find that this wakes them up doing this practice, but this is something that you can do. I think that was about 5 or 6 minutes that you can do in the morning or anytime, but it doesn't have to be even this long. It could be one breath, as simple as mindfully taking one breath. So I can answer any questions about meditation or mindfulness, but I wanted to leave you with this quote. So if you're not familiar with Viktor Frankl, he was in a concentration camp during the Holocaust, and he has this wonderful quote that says, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies the power to choose our response, and in our response lies our growth and our freedom." And so to me, this is really the definition. I mean, this is true mindfulness here, that as much as he went through in that experience, having the ability to choose how you respond is most powerful, and how we are going to grow and how we're going to evolve. And so that being said, this is a journey. You may pick up a few tips, or you may apply a few tips that you learned tonight, but my request is, don't try and take small bits. A little pieces can add up to big change over time. So taking one or two things and really applying them can really be beneficial for you in the long term. And that being said, mindfulness is not a cure-all pill. It's not going to prevent you from having quote unquote bad things happen in your life, or pain, or any of these experiences. It's basically a tool to help you as you navigate through them. So to share, for example, when I first started practicing, within the first 3 months, my dad became very sick. My mother-in-law had a health issue, and our dog died. And it was obviously one of the worst times in my life, and very, very stressful. But because I was doing these practices, I also feel that it was one of the most beautiful times in my life, because I was able to see the connection of my family rallying around my dad. Same thing with my husband's family, and then appreciating the life that we had with our dog. So there's another great quote that mindfulness doesn't stop the waves from coming, but it teaches you how to surf. So you're going to end up on the shore in one way or the other. And it's, how do you want to get there? Do you want to get there with the waves just crashing and bashing over you, or do you want to ride them a little bit more smoothly in? So with that being said, thank you all for coming, and I am definitely open for questions if you have them, or you can feel free, if you don't want to ask them tonight, you can connect with me in a variety of ways, and I'm happy to talk more about this. So I'll open up in the chat, or I don't know, Lynn, if you want to unmute people if they raise their hand. I will unshare. Should I unshare my PowerPoint? Yes?
Give people one more second if they want to screenshot your information, as well as we can send it out. We'll send everybody a post follow-up email in case you want to review the video. We can share Christiana's information as well. So
Perfect. And it's gotten very dark in here. I feel like I look like a floating head. Where is everyone from? Are you all over the place? I know a couple in Miami, I see. DC, LA. Nice. All right. Oklahoma, cool. So we really have the whole country covered here. East Coast, Northeast, West, South, Maine. Nice.
So I guess if we don't have any questions, it's about, or we're after 6 o'clock, so we can wrap it up. But Christiana, thank you so much for your insights. I think that now more than ever, we need to find healthy ways to deal with stress and anxiety. I've been practicing meditation and mindfulness for about 6 years now. It's completely changed my life. So I had a total mental breakdown when I was about 32. So I say there was Rachel before and there's Rachel after, and people don't even recognize me. I was a stress ball, my mind constantly going with information, couldn't sleep at night. And then I just broke at one point and I found meditation and mindfulness, and it took years, mind you. Like, this is a practice. It's never perfect, and I have good days and bad days, but it's really changed every aspect of my entire life. So I love the work that you're doing. I want to thank everybody else for coming out tonight, and to let you know that we're hosting a series of free workshops over the next several months. This is our next event. Barbara Farrow Smiles. She's going to talk about how to unapologetically own your greatness. To learn about these events and more, you can register at empoweredwomenbrunch.com. Also, a huge thank you to Lynn, our Director of Operations and Logistics. None of this would be possible without you. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you again, Christiana, and everyone for joining us tonight. Have a good night.
Bye.
Ciao.